figuring out how I want to sit is weird on this podcast.
It's always a struggle.
It really is. And I kind of want to do this new thing where I put my hand through my legs like this. And I guess I just feel comfortable like that. But doesn't it look weird?
It looks a little strange, yeah.
So I'm totally out on that. But I'm so excited to be doing this episode of the podcast today.
Oh, do tell.
Well, you've been talking like super Southern
all
day. And so I just can't wait to see what we're going to capture on this episode of the podcast.
You just never know.
But without any further ado, my name is Justin.
And I'm Labry.
And this is the Better Together podcast.
Yeah. Sorry, I spoke a little loud and you went to adjust, so then I was like, wait,
I was actually turning
redo?
you up.
Oh.
No, so you were fine. Okay, so as we get out of this in the very beginning of the episode, I do want to address what we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Because we were not very happy with the camera we bought. And we made that pretty clear on that episode of the podcast because it was just a sad night.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you're super pumped and you're so excited to get something. And then when it does come, you're not as excited about it.
It was a huge letdown.
But since then, we've done a lot of work and a lot of figuring. And a lot of
research.
Yes. And we have found a way to make this camera work for our needs. However, we made a video today, actually, and we haven't completely wrapped it up yet. But, one of the big things about this camera is that it's an action camera. And to me, an action camera means that, all I should have to do is hit this little red button, and it just works, and it looks good, and I don't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's my dream of an action camera. Like, manual settings, sure, put them in there for people that want to deal with that. But for most people, they just want to pick it up and use it in any circumstance.
And not worry about it.
And with all the technology out there now, you know that you can give me AI that maybe is a little bit darker, but has the lower ISO so you don't have all the noise in it.
Yeah.
All that being said, we've learned that if we put the right settings on the camera, we can use it in lower light situations, and it can do what we want it to do. And so we're not going to take it back. We're not going to be upset about it. But I did just want to clear that air. I'm not still thrilled with it. I think it's the best worst camera.
Yes.
And that's kind of what the video is about. And so if you want to know more about how a camera can be the best worst camera, then definitely go to our vlog channel. The link's always in the description, and check that out. But I just wanted to kind of talk about that in the beginning of the podcast because we did mention it last week, and yet we still haven't. We're still using it. So
it's not the worst ever, but it's not as good as we were sold that it was.
It just doesn't do everything that we hoped it would do.
Yeah.
In the ease of use that it would do. But we figured out how to use it. We've had a lot of fun making videos with it, and I only think we're going to have more and more fun as we get to use it even more. And so
and as the weather's nice and we can play outside and have all the wonderful sunshine to do it.
And the good news is I may have ordered another camera. But the good news about this is that we already know this camera, and this camera is going to be great because we already own this camera. And so we basically just bought the exact same camera that we're filming with right now.
So guess what, guys? We're going to have 2 angles soon.
We're finally going to have 2 angles on the podcast. Is a third coming one day? I don't know. That would be the dream.
Hopefully the dream would be to get an upgrade camera for me.
For somebody. I don't know who that would be, though. But anyways, so I bought the exact same camera because we know what we're getting, and we know we're going to get good quality out of it. We're going to get everything we want out of it, and I found a really good deal.
Yeah.
And so hopefully it'll be here before Saturday, before we do our adventure to celebrate your birthday, before we do our first adventure really since starting deeper into ministry, since starting these podcasts, and since actually getting licensed. I really just was like, I know, but it's been the holiday season, and that definitely has an impact.
It's been the holidays. It's been winter. There's been a lot.
Yeah. So it just doesn't feel like we've been able to do anything. And so it's great that your birthday is the opportunity to take a pause minute and just do something fun, and that's going to recharge the batteries a little bit.
Hopefully.
Which I feel really recharged right now. I apologize. I'm like,
you got some sunshine.
Yeah, that vitamin D. That's what, I don't know, them northern people do it.
But hopefully I can figure out what that fun thing is going to be on Saturday, because as it is my birthday weekend, I get to pick and plan it all.
Yeah.
But that's also kind of stressful because it's like, what do we do?
Well, and you don't have to pick it all, but I didn't want to pick it for you, not knowing what you may want to do at the moment, because we've just not been able to do much.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what you may fall into of oh, this is what I want to go do. But
I think I want to be outside. I want to take pictures. I don't really know what else.
But are you nature pictures, city walk pictures?
I want to be outside, and I want to take pictures. That's what I got.
That's funny.
I don't really have a city or nature preference right now. I want to be outside and take pictures.
Yeah. Well, Well, I want to be outside, and I'm interested in taking pictures, especially with a new camera, and I'm interested in trying to actually just do a good job of documenting our lives,
Yeah.
and so that way we can remember it later.
We've
Is
really enjoyed the past videos. So, like, I don't understand, like, why we keep stopping.
It's because we've made it difficult and, like, trying to capture everything, and that's really the hope that I have with this new camera. Not the new camera that I just ordered, but this new camera,
Mhm.
the action camera, is my hope is that I'll actually be able to use it for something,
Mhm.
to
And it's a lot more convenient because it is smaller. So that helps in an aspect because a lot of times you get nervous having something out, doing different things in different situations. It's nice to not
Yeah.
have something even as big as the case for it there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
E-
case.
Even as big as this, like walking around in a store like that, you can set it on a bookshelf if you're in a
Well, but you don't
bookstore.
even need this. Like, I've got the camera
Yeah.
out of it right now. I was filming a time lapse, and so I just turned that off because this case has a battery, and the other thing has a battery, and this battery's almost dead, but I've not charged it in a long time. Like, I'd say it hasn't been charged since you used it last,
Yeah.
and that was last Friday, and
Mhm.
I've played with it a ton since then. So it's working out well
Yeah.
as far as the battery life's concerned. But yeah, exactly like you're saying. But where this piece is missing right here is what the little camera is, and so like you can walk around with just that.
You
If we're
can
out
put it
in
on
yeah
the little necklace
on a
thing.
hike, we just have it on. You're walking around,
Mhm.
people notice it, but they're
On
not
a
gonna say
hat.
anything.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I did have a child notice our son wearing the camera when we were at the zoo, and he looks at me and goes, "Why is he wearing a camera?" Like, "'Cause he is."
because it's fun. I don't know.
I was
Because
like,
we're gonna have better memories than your parents are of this adventure.
but it was just funny. I was like, "'Cause he is," and he was like, "Okay," and walked on.
Okay, whatever. That's funny. Um. Well, anyways, we talked about your birthday,
Yep.
and that's kind of what I want to talk about this on this episode of the podcast. Is just
Mhm.
birthdays in general,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like birthday memories or like things like that. Because I just thought it'd be kind of fun,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna do my best to not monopolize the time that we talk about birthdays. But I have definitely some birthday memories
Mhm.
that I want to be able to share. But it's your birthday, so I'll let you go first, unless you don't have anything keyed up.
I mean, I don't have anything offhand besides like I really enjoyed my 30th birthday where we had
Yeah.
the big cookout, had everyone over. That was a blast. And another birthday I remember is I texted a friend's mom and said, "Hey, can I steal your daughter and like just run around town and be silly?" And she was like, "Yeah, go for it." So I went and kidnapped my friend and
For your birthday,
for my
you
birthday. Yeah.
you kidnapped somebody else.
Yeah. And I was like, we're gonna do stuff all day." So we did.
That's
Just
funny.
ran around to stores doing teenage stuff,
The funny
looking,
thing is like,
window shopping.
I mean, we're parents now,
Mhm.
and so like you spend all this time and energy on like I was doing the hand thing again. Then you spend all this time and energy on planning birthday parties
Mhm.
and like getting all the fun stuff and things like that. But it's like you don't really remember those
Yeah.
as
Like
much.
I have some memories of younger birthday parties and like I remember going to Skate Town and back it was before mine and my brother's birthday parties had to be split. But then also afterwards, like we always went to Skate Town, always had a cake. One year I absolutely laid down the law and said, I do not want whipped icing. I want just regular icing. And it upset my mom so much she got her own cake for herself and then had my cake for me. But she had whipped icing and I had regular icing. But those are the birthdays I remember is Skate Town.
That's funny. Well, I just remember like stuff from being older, and like one thing that one of my favorite things is like I always hated my birthday because my birthday
Is at the start of
is
school.
the very beginning. Like it's like four nowadays. Who even knows? But it used to be like a week before school started
Mhm.
was when my birthday was, and so that was bad for a multitude of reasons. Right? First of all, none of your friends are coming
Yeah.
because it's not like you can give any invitations out at school or even mention it at school because it's been 3 months.
Yep.
And then you're about to get all the stuff you wanted all summer, except now you can't use or play with any of it because you have to go back to school.
Yep.
And so, like, growing up, that was always my thing. It's like, I just can't stand a birthday because it's right when school starts. It's this horrible timing for a birthday. Nobody ever comes to my parties, all these different things.
Mhm.
And so, like, that was the big one. But because of that, I always wanted a surprise party.
Oh.
And so, like, I always just begged and begged and begged to have, like, a surprise birthday party
Mhm.
that, would be earlier in the
Mhm.
year, and my parents actually did do that at some point. But and they really did surprise me.
Mhm.
I had no idea.
Your parents are great because if you ask for something, they're gonna do everything they can to make it happen.
Yeah. I don't feel like it was, like, still super early,
Yeah.
but it was still a surprise party
Mhm.
nonetheless, and, like, I had no idea because I remember, like, we went and got food or something with dad, and then we were talking about, like, "Yeah, this is your mom's doing this thing." It was almost I can't remember completely. I feel like they sold it to me as, like my mom was having basically like an Avon party. It wasn't Avon, but that's all I can think of, but
Yeah.
something like
Like
that,
a
like
pampered chef party?
something like that, yeah, but one of those
Mhm.
parties where, like, a bunch of women come over and they try to sell you things. But my mom never was bought into any of that stuff, so I don't know
Mhm.
why I believed this, but, like, all these women were supposedly coming over to the house, and we were talking about, like, what me and my dad and one of his friends were gonna go do. It's like, I'm all bought in, I'm, like, planning out, like, we're gonna go do this and that and the other, and it's gonna be so much fun. Well, then we roll back up to the house, and there's all these people there, and there's, like, decorations and stuff in the backyard, I'm like, "Wait a minute," and it still was in the summer. I
Oh.
remember now because it was, like, a luau-themed party, so there was, like,
Oh.
tiki
So
stuff
that's where all
and
those decorations came from.
exactly. That was from one of my birthday parties. But it was just so funny of, like, I had no idea. And I was almost a little sad
That you didn't get
because
to do all the stuff that you
we didn't
planned?
get to go do the other stuff. Like, we were gonna go, like, look at four-wheelers or something like that, and I was like, "That's gonna be awesome," and then, like, we didn't get to do any of that because we were having my birthday party. Whoever
Oh.
would have thought that you got sad about having a surprise birthday party, but I was like, "Man."
After you asked for one.
Yeah, but you didn't know. You're like, "Oh, man."
Man, I wish just like I would have had a little warning so I didn't plan something better.
I wish I hadn't got my hopes up for other stuff not being around my mom and family, like, man, darn. No, that's just
Oh,
100% the truth, though. Like, 100% that is, like, the honest truth of how that whole thing went down. It's just too funny.
that's
But,
hilarious.
yeah, that's probably one of my favorite birthday memories is just because of, like, the whole surrounding of it, you know? But I'll never forget not liking my birthday.
I'm sorry. I've always loved my
I
birthday.
think the kids are luckier because their birthday is not as close to mine, but it's after school
Yeah.
started. I'm getting so finicky with the audio settings tonight.
But yeah, their birthdays will be after school starts. So we'll have time to put
Invite people.
invitations
But
out.
at the same time too, like,
Now we have social
well, we have
media.
social media, but they're going to our church's school,
Yeah.
and
So we'll
then
see 90% of
we
those
see them
people.
anyway, so that part, I guess, doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
But, like, going to
It's
public
helpful.
school.
There might be some kids that he befriends that
That's
aren't
true.
in church
That's
and
true.
stuff. So we'll just see what happens,
Yeah.
and we'll be open to letting whoever he wants come because, or the
What's
other
their
child.
party?
Yeah, it's their party, so whoever they want there is who's going to be there.
Our children, I don't know if we mentioned in the last episode of the podcast when we talked about that we're having another child, but they're
Hmm.
gonna be born probably a week apart.
Yeah, a
Y
week or two apart.
somewhere well, but, like, if you think about, this one is supposed to come a week later than he actually came, but then
It's
he was 2 weeks early, so this one could be 2 weeks early, but that just means that, like, it's probably gonna fall somewhere in the realm of a week before or a week
yeah,
after him, or it could fall the week of, like, who
yeah.
knows?
Who knows?
But no matter how you slice that, I'm like, "No, we're just doing one party."
Yeah.
If y'all want, and especially, like, if you want more attention and presence more than
Hmm.
you want, like, the venue or whatever,
Yeah.
we're having one party. And somebody told me this weekend that they were like, "No, that's not gonna be able to work." And I'm like, "Well, I'm probably not gonna give them an option." And if I do give them an option, it's gonna be like that. It's like, "Listen, do you want, like, the gift to be really cool, or do you just wanna have 2 separate parties?" Because that's really what our options
Yeah.
are, especially having them so close together.
Yeah. Because especially when you get into like different decorations and stuff,
Oh,
like
yeah, I didn't
trying
even
to
think
do
about that.
that because that gets expensive. And like I try to be really cheap with what I
Yeah.
buy for the
Well,
parties
because it's expensive in
and
general.
make it stretch and whatnot. But I think between our uh, skill sets and your mom's years of many parties planning and
Mhm.
all of her giftings with that, we can figure out how to make two parties work
Yeah.
with a 5-year age ago.
Well, and eventually, though, it's like, like, on the oldest, like, he's not gonna care as much about themes anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and even now, like, the theme is more for everybody else
Yeah.
than it is for, like, the
I
kid.
mean, he enjoys
He
it,
enjoys it, but it's not
but
like he wouldn't care either
yeah.
way.
I mean, you just toss any balloons out there and he'll be happy.
Yeah. Do you remember, like, any themed party as a kid? We can't have that much
No,
dead air
we
time.
we had Skate Town.
But
That's
you
what I
didn't.
remember.
There was no decorations.
Yeah, no, it was Skate Town. We just went and we had a cake.
Even when you were like 16, you went to Skate Town and had a cake. You
When-
never had any other birthday things except for Skate Town.
Well, when I started getting older, like they stopped doing stuff, and
Well, you're being a whole bucket of fun
I'm just
today.
saying. That's what
Wow.
happened. I think that my 16th birthday was the one that I went and kidnapped my friend.
Ah. My 16th birthday, I don't remember. Well,
No, I got my license so that was probably that weekend, but I got my license that day.
I remember my 16th birthday now because my mom cried a whole bunch. I was thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute.
All the milestones in your life.
When it was like, I had basically spent the whole summer babysitting my younger brother because we're 7 years apart.
Yeah.
And so, like, when that day came and, like, she was just so, happy. And so, like, I finally, like, at 16 is when I finally got my own room, Like, that was a big deal for me. But then it was like, they got me, like, a TV and some other stuff. And so it was just, like, one of those really great things where it's like, wow, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember that one now. Took me a second. I never really had parties at places.
Yeah. We only had that.
I mean, I went to the skating rink once.
I mean, maybe we had people over at the house before.
No, it was all people at
But-
the house for the most part.
Like we went to Skate Town.
I spent this is gonna sound funny if I say it this way, but like I spent one of my birthdays drugged out of my mind. And it's not what you think.
From your ACL surgery.
Yes, and so when I was 9 years
ACL.
old, ACL. When I was 9 years old, I tore my ACL on a scooter. It turns out, kids, whenever you're dared to go down a hill as fast as you can and not use the brakes, that you should just use your common sense and use the brakes and not jump off at the end. And so I had tore my ACL, and then I walked on it for a while. That's a whole long story. We might get into that another time. But it happened, the surgery took place near my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time my birthday comes around, they've got me on like, it was really just like high-strength Tylenol,
Yeah.
I think, is the way my mom tells it. But I have a low drug tolerance, and so like being on that alone was enough to like just put me out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember like these like moments of waking up. And so like I was laying on the couch and like, you wake up that morning, you're groggy, and then I fell back asleep. I wake up and there's like kids at the house and they're all looking at me. They're just sitting on the floor, all these kids. And what's funny about that, and I never told mom this because like I didn't want her to be like super upset at people. All the kids that were there were the neighborhood kids, and it was all the kids that had caused me to have this problem in the first place. And so they're looking at like a ghost, over there for
They're
this
thinking
birthday
that they've
party.
killed you.
Yeah. Like, what did we cause to happen to this kid?
And they're like, never again will I
But
dare
then-
someone.
I remember like waking up, seeing them. I don't remember talking or anything. And then I remember like I go back to sleep, wake up, and they're playing video games. And then I go back to sleep, wake up, and then they're gone. That's all I remember from that birthday party.
That sounds a little bit like what happened after I had my wisdom teeth out.
Yeah.
Because I just had slight moments of being awake and then being back asleep. I'd wake up, take medicine, eat some pudding, and go to sleep. Wake up, eat some applesauce, go to sleep.
When you had your ankle surgery a while back, one, getting you to the hospital was so funny because they wheel you out and you're just like sprawled. Like, I'm surprised there wasn't like drool coming down your face when they. And I'm trying to be mean. It was just like, oh my gosh, they're letting you go home. They didn't. They're not gonna let you sober up at all. They send you out of that place still
Don't-
asleep.
Yeah, I don't remember. Like, I remember I woke up a little bit and then I don't remember getting in the chair and I don't remember being wheeled out. I remember being in the car and then we realized that we forgot the crutches.
No, and I was gonna get to that because
Okay.
that's a funny thing. So when they call me and they tell me to come pick you up,
Mm-hmm.
and so so I'm in the building, and then they made me sit inside the building the entire time with a mask on. I couldn't leave the building, but then when it's time to get you, I'm told to go outside, get the car, pull it up, and then go back in the building. It was super confusing, but.
Mm-hmm.
So they wheel you out, and like the doctor comes and the person, and like you're in the wheelchair, and they're talking to me and telling me all of your stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like, "All right, well, you ready to go put her in the car?" I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
The crutches I think would have already been in the car maybe, or I did
Mhm.
have those for sure though. And
Thought
so
we forgot something.
we did,
Oh.
but they put you in the car and all that stuff, and then we go to pick up your medicine,
Mhm.
and it was right at, like, the lunch change, and so I
Mm.
barely was able to get your medicine.
Mm.
That was great. Why we couldn't have called this in before you finished
Yeah.
surgery, but, I was able to get your medicine, and then while I'm in there getting your medicine, they call me, and they're like, "Hey, you forgot her boot."
Oh,
And I'm like, "I didn't forget anything.
you
I
willed her to
I
me.
took what you gave me." She didn't have a boot when you brought her back to me, so I had to go back. They gave me the boot and all that stuff, but it was just funny where they were like, "You forgot the thing." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no.
Excuse me.
I'm pretty sure you forgot to give me the boot. So we're gonna need to address that issue."
But
But
yeah,
it's
that first day, in and out, like
yeah.
very vague bit.
The best was the next day. And so my parents were nice enough to watch our son, and
Mm-hmm.
so that way I didn't have to deal with him and, you and moving and all that stuff, moving you around and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, we didn't have him, which is great, but then the next day, you wake up and, like, you're supposed to take the pain medicine. Like, they're
Mm-hmm.
real serious about the pain medicine because if you don't take the pain medicine,
You're gonna hurt.
you're gonna hurt later and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And so I went outside. I think I came to, like, take care of the animals, and I come back in, and you're like, "I took the medicine, but it didn't do nothing." And I'm like
That's not how it felt.
I'm like I'm pretty sure that it's working.
It felt like I took this medicine and it's not doing anything.
This is not how it came out at all. I took this medicine. It's not doing anything. That's the
I
moment I need to be
mean,
documenting live, but there's absolutely no way I would have ever caught that on camera.
yeah,
I'd had to
but
be like, "What did you tell me?" And then you would have, like,
yeah,
somehow
I would have
straightened out of
sobered
it.
up.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad that we don't do bad stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Thank
I
the
don't think I
Lord.
could live with somebody that's like that all the time or be like that all the time.
That's a
Oh,
trip.
yeah. Back on the birthdays tip.
Yes.
This is one that you can at least talk into.
Yeah.
And it's the time that you almost killed me on my birthday.
Well, I
And
tried to take you on a beautiful hike to see a waterfall.
yeah.
That was supposed to be easy, but apparently there's two places to park for it: the death zone and the easy hike.
Mm-hmm.
So, we parked at the death one.
Yeah.
So,
And you almost didn't make it out of there. I said
yeah,
you almost killed me. You about took yourself out
yeah.
because of that.
You were pretty fine. I almost died.
It was still rough. Like, that was one of the rougher hikes I've been on.
Yeah.
Because there was little shade because where we were hiking was where the Great Smoky Mountains had been on fire not that long before
Yep.
that. And so, like, there's no
No
underbrush. There's
trees.
hardly any trees in most of it.
No leaves.
And, like, just for big portions of the hike. But you would,
Yeah.
like, because fire's weird.
Yeah.
And so, like, you'd be walking on this, like, ridge line and you would, like, turn in and out of the fire.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's August, it's hot, it's humid, and we're parked, like, on the mountainous side of this trail that's supposed to be super easy. It was not. And I'll be honest,
Mm-hmm.
we've done a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of things. I've done a lot of hikes and things.
Mm-hmm.
And, the thing that gets me is that one was one of the hardest ones that I've done. And the payoff was not worth it.
No.
Because
Well, the issue is we hiked down to the waterfall. Sounds weird. So that should have been the first hint that we were in the wrong spot.
yeah, how many times have you hiked down to a waterfall?
But I mean, we got there, but we hiked down to the waterfall, which wasn't the worst, hot and humid in the blazing sun. So did that. But then we had to hike up.
Yeah.
To get back to the car.
And
so it made it very not fun.
If you've never been in the Smokies, it's not cool year round. It's not like other mountainous places because it's just not that tall.
Yeah.
And the other issue, though, is that it's humid in East Tennessee anyways.
Yep. Especially in August.
But then when you're in the Smokies and you're in, like, the underbrush sections, because there was a bunch of sections where you're direct sun, so you're hot, and then all of a sudden you get into the underbrush sections, and it's like 100% humidity because all the water just gets stuck.
Yep.
It can't get evaporated or anything because there's no sunlight. And so it's just like this weird mix of, like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
That was a rough one.
Yeah.
And
I
completely
refused to
unexpected.
pick hikes after that.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think I would have really let you after that point, though, either. But, like, we've done some pretty intense stuff. Like, the Chimney Tops is a pretty intense trail, but it's kind of worth it when you get to the end. Or, like, stuff that you've not done, but, like, Alum Cave Trail. That's a heck of a hike. But when you get up there, you're like, that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You get to that waterfall, and it's like, it's a waterfall, but I've driven to bigger waterfalls than this. Like, I have literally driven to waterfalls that are,
Mhm.
much more spectacular than
Yeah.
this one was.
And like I said, I looked so rough and felt so rough that people who were starting the trail were like, "Are you
Yeah,
okay?"
there's literally some people we passed that were asking, like, "Are you okay? Do you need water?" And we were
Like,
getting by that point, though,
we were really
we were
close.
so close to the truck and where we had more water that it was like, "This isn't a big deal."
Yeah. Like, it's fine. I need to sit here and like die for a
I need
minute
to sit
and
here
then
and
I
think
can
about my life choices.
and then I'll, resurrect and keep going to the
Yeah,
truck. Cuz that was rough.
that was a rough one.
Yep. I prefer other hikes much better.
The drive was nice, like, the inside, like,
Yeah.
that little
Didn't
loop.
we see a bear there
We did
too?
see a bear
Yeah.
right after we got in the truck.
Yeah.
It was literally we'd got in the truck, we drove not even a minute down the road, and
We're
there's
like,
a
"Oh,
brown
look,
bear
there's a bear."
or black bear. Yep, it's like,
So
"Oh, there it is."
glad we missed you,
Yeah.
cause I would have looked like a delicious treat.
And I wouldn't have been able to run from you. You would have had me. That's what I was thinking about the black bears, is they don't really want to eat you.
Mhm.
They just don't want you to eat them. I think that's really what they think. They're like, I have to take that person out before they take me out.
Like, no, they're like, "They've got food, and I want
Yeah.
food. So if I get rid of them, I have the food."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Yogi Bear should have been like a black bear instead of a brown bear.
R
Simply because like the black bears are just giant raccoons.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, like that's all they want is they just want to eat.
Mhm. And if there's food, they will get it.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's why we have the special trash cans out in the Smokies.
Yes. Yeah, and now you get to pay to park in the Smokies just to pay for. No, I'm not gonna go down that road.
Yeah. We don't go to
Uh,
the Smokies.
Not anymore. We don't. We go to national forests because they're still free. But um, I don't actually have a problem with paid national parks if they're allowed. But like the whole thing about the Smokies is that they're not supposed to be paid. But
Yeah.
anyways, you know what else is interesting about that story? It's two things. One, I think part of the reason that I had problems is because I had on like hiking boots that were
Mm.
more winter hiking boots
Mm.
than anything. And then what's funny is I put them in the back of the truck. And so like we did the hike. I think we
Mm.
maybe went and ate, went to Bass Pro Shop, something like that. And then we were driving home. It starts raining. I'm like, oh man, these boots are gonna get soaked because we're like on the interstate.
Yeah.
And it was like pouring rain.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, do you want to stop? And I'm like, I'm not gonna get soaked. I guess the boots can just get soaked. And we got home, and by the time we got home, it wasn't raining on us
Mhm.
anymore, and they weren't wet at all.
Yeah.
It was something about like if you ever watch MythBusters, they do those tests, and they've shown like where there's the air pocket in the bed of the truck,
Mhm.
and I guess the air pocket kept the rain out because
Yeah.
we never stopped while it was raining. We just were
Mhm.
going down the interstate while it was raining,
Yep.
and that was interesting. But also, that truck had a sad fate.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that? What
No.
happened to that truck? Because that was also my birthday truck, if you remember that.
We're not talking about it.
You don't want to talk about it?
No.
Why not? I'm gonna talk about it though. But so
Of course you are.
when we met, I had an F-150, and it
Mhm.
was literally the worst F-150 that you could have. It was the worst truck. We've got the best worst camera. That was the worst truck. It tried to kill me on multiple occasions. One time in that F-150, I was driving down the road
Mhm.
and I hit the brakes, and the
And the
brake
brakes didn't
line.
go.
They went all over the engine because the brake line exploded and like where it had rusted through the brake line. Never heard of that happening before, and was spraying brake fluid out when I tried to stop. And so you couldn't hardly stop because you've got four brakes, and you're like, well, if one thing messes up, it's fine. No, it doesn't work that way because they're all using the same master cylinder and the same brake fluid pressure, and so when that goes, it all goes. So I had to replace that. Anyways, had that truck, wasn't great. It was getting worse, and so when we had your car and the Mustang, and then we
Mhm.
had the F-150, but we needed a better, reliable truck.
Yeah.
And so one year for my birthday, I found a good deal on a Ford Ranger.
Mhm.
It was like a 2000 something. It ran really good. Well, that was the funny thing too, is we're driving home and the check engine light comes on. And it was
Yeah.
like,
Well,
oh,
and the AC went out?
the AC wasn't working very well to begin with at all. And so we thought maybe we can refill it. That never works.
No.
If you ever think when you get a vehicle, like, oh, I'll just refill the air conditioner, I'll put some more Freon in it and it'll work. It never does. If it's not working, because if it's not cold, now if it's a little cold, maybe you can check it and add more and it'll get colder. But if it's just not cold, you're not going to be able to add Freon because
No.
it's just going to leak out.
Yep. You're just gonna have to keep adding and keep adding and
But,
keep adding.
I always was told that it was super expensive to get the compressor replaced.
Mhm.
we did on that truck, it wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
And it was the coldest air conditioner
Ugh.
because it was a brand new compressor in this
Mhm.
little tiny truck. And so it was frigid. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it'd be August, it's 100 degrees outside. You'd
Mhm.
go get in there, and before you drove even like 3 minutes, it was cold.
Yeah.
It was awesome. That was the best air conditioner I've ever had in a vehicle. And I've bought brand new vehicles since then
Yeah.
and still not had air conditioning I bought vehicles with 15 miles
Yeah.
and it still didn't have as good air conditioning as that truck did when I got the new pump put on it. But anyway, so I bought this truck
Mhm.
and it was great. Oh, that was gonna say, but that check engine light came on,
Mhm.
freaked me out. It was one sensor, replaced it, never had another problem.
Mhm.
But one day we were going to get the oil changed in it. Was it?
Yeah.
We were getting the
I
oil
think
changed in
in
it.
it. Yeah.
And so we were gonna like drop it off. Whoops. We were gonna drop it off, and then we were gonna go back and pick it up. And so you were following me, and we're driving, and the red light changes. And so
No. So
I thought you weren't gonna tell the story.
listen, because you're gonna make me seem like the really, really, really bad guy, and I'm not.
The sun
What
was
had
in my
happened
eyes.
was
The sun. It's
is
the sun's fault.
it turns, and we're close. I'm following behind, and I'm thinking, oh, it's yellow. He's so close. He's just gonna go, and I'm close, so I'm gonna go. He slams on his brakes,
I know.
and I hit him.
I did hit the brakes, but I didn't hit the brakes nearly as hard as I got hit.
Because you were supposed to be going through.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand this right. So the light turned yellow, and I began to stop.
You slammed on your brakes.
So I followed by obeying the traffic law. I literally thought, well, I don't want her to run the red light, so I'll go ahead and stop. And it wasn't.
I thought,
And it was
hey,
not
he's
like
gonna go ahead and go through because we're so close.
Hold on though. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna stop. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna, end up having to screech to a stop. Like I was gonna stop like a normal person still, and then, bam.
And then the cop shows up.
And she totaled both of our vehicles at the same time.
Yep.
Like, how many people can hang their hat on the fact that they literally totaled two of their own vehicles simultaneously? Again, if only we had been documenting our lives at that point.
And we would have evidence that you slammed on your brakes.
Yeah, I know. We should have had dash cams. I did not slam on my brakes. But man, that was a trip and a half.
Oh, that made a day.
Yeah, that's a memory.
And we were supposed to be meeting your mom afterwards, I think.
We're supposed to be meeting my mom afterwards, and we were supposed to be going camping shortly after that. So then we had to borrow a vehicle so that we could go, like, not camping, but we were going to stay in a cabin on a road that's like was pretty rough.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, the Mustang's not gonna do it.
Yeah.
It did lead to me having the truck that I have now, and I'm very thankful for that. But it was just one of those moments of like, oh my gosh. And in case anybody's wondering, even if you have a full coverage vehicle, if that full coverage vehicle crashes into your liability vehicle, the full coverage doesn't cover the liability vehicle because they're on the same policy, which is kind of crazy to me and really bugged me. But there's nothing you can do. It's insurance.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, the cop showed up and he was like, "Now I have to ask, was this a domestic dispute?" We're like, "No, it just a freak accident. Like, no one's mad at anyone." Like, he was so worried about me, he didn't even put the truck in park before he ran back to check on me.
Yeah, ran back to check on me. He was like, oh gosh, the car.
So, yeah.
That was something else, man.
That happened.
The truck still drove, but it wasn't something that I was going to drive after that. We sold it to a guy. He was happy to drive it.
Yeah, he was going to drive it around his farm. Yeah. He was thrilled. So.
Yeah. He had all kinds of questions about it, and I'm like, man, I don't know what to tell you. It's a good truck. I would have kept driving it until this happened, but I just would like to have something that isn't this anymore.
It's like,
I don't know what to tell you.
I need to get away from it.
Yeah.
It's got some bad juju now.
Well, and that's where it's like I've wrecked two Ford Rangers. The only vehicles that I've ever crashed are Ford Rangers, and so it's like, well, I'm
shouldn't have a Ford Ranger.
I'm never going down that road again. We're not doing that again. We're not no more Ford Rangers.
You keep looking at them, and you're like, oh, that Ford Ranger.
Not
That's
to buy.
a good truck.
It just looks. It's a nice truck. That's a nice truck.
I don't like driving those trucks.
Well, you got in trouble the first time that you drove that truck because we had bikes in the back of it, and you turned it like you were trying to do a 180.
I've never driven a truck. I don't know.
Well, it wasn't
I'm
that.
not used to the feel of
shouldn't-
how a
you
truck drives.
You shouldn't drive any vehicle like that. You shouldn't turn that hard in any vehicle, but you ended up scratching the paint, and then that
It
wasn't
wasn't that
enough.
hard.
You just didn't like that truck.
Apparently.
You scratched the paint, and then a week later,
Had to go. You liked it more than me.
that poor little thing. It never did anything bad to you. No, it worked out though, because as much as I liked the truck, like the biggest issue with it was that the seat had some, like, the foam was messed up, and oh, it hurt my back so bad.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that part. It
Yeah.
really messed your back up.
I needed to go to the junkyard and just find a new seat, but I'm glad I didn't. Man, and the other Ranger I had just redone the entire brakes. Like, I'd got new rotors and pads and everything, and then it totaled it. It was like, I need to just stay away from these vehicles, you know?
Like, this is not good for me.
But I just remembered that. Like, yeah, you had totally, like, totaled my birthday present out.
Oops. It happened.
You mentioned your birthday where we had a bunch of people over and cooked and things like that. Which it's
the
funny
one
that
where you got a present for my birthday?
that's what I was going to talk about. But it is funny, though, like, for your birthday, you would, like, rather people just come to your house and you serve them versus, like, being, like, pampered or anything like that. It's just kind of a funny concept.
The things that I like is having people over and just hanging out, or, like, going out with a couple ladies and getting a pedicure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, besides the time that we have with our family, you know. But
Yeah,
if I'm doing, like, a party situation, I want people to come over and hang out and just enjoy our time together. Or I want to go, like, get my nails done, get a pedicure, you know, just something girly.
Oh, if only.
I'm surrounded by boys.
Hopefully not for much longer, but
Lord willing. Y'all say a prayer.
But yeah, that was the kind of joke that everybody made to me on that birthday, was like, "Oh, you got a present for
my
her birthday," and it was like, "Well, we needed a grill. We were having a party, so I bought a grill.
Yeah.
And she's gonna get to eat a bunch of the food off of it. So I don't understand how this is my present."
I mean, and now that we've had it, 2 years,
Yeah,
I use it more.
that is true.
I use it quite often.
Well, that's the reason I bought that one in the first place, is because I told you when we bought it, I was like, you're going to be able to use this. You're going to be able to do the things with it. And so if we buy this now, you'll be able to smoke things and make great food easily while I'm at work. And that's exactly what's happened. So in the end, really, I didn't get a present for your birthday. We got a present. I'm glad we were on the same page with that one.
Yeah. But, I mean, at the time, it was like you. And, of course, because it was a new thing, you used it a lot at first.
Yeah.
And, like, it took a little bit for me to really take over using it the majority of the time, but it's been fantastic. I love that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
I even had to take it apart and fix it the other day, but thankfully it went back together.
Yeah. And it fixed. Like, it works and everything. But I love that thing so much. I recommend it to everyone when they're, like, thinking about a grill. I'm like, get this. I love it.
Yeah. No, it's great.
And now one of my friends has one, and all the time we're like, I've cooked this on the grill. I cooked this on the grill. Today she sent me a picture of the burgers and the bacon wrapped stuffed jalapenos that they cooked on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
A lot of people get into the bacon wrap stuff. We've not done that a whole lot.
Yeah. But you and your mom really like the stuffed jalapeno poppers.
I like the bacon. I never really liked the jalapeno part. Buddy, we're doing a podcast. You're not supposed to talk, remember?
You can pick a new one. It's fine.
We're still working on that, on these podcasts, and trying to do them a little bit earlier in the day and trying to make him understand, like, hey, buddy, you don't need to sing or you don't need to do this. And that one was just like, I don't know what to do here. I try to be nice, though.
Yeah. That's just life with kids.
Yeah.
And trying to get stuff done before their bedtime, so that way we can enjoy the little bit of time that we stay awake after their bedtime.
Exactly. Otherwise, we stay up later than we should.
And then
not a good idea.
Not good.
There was also the fun birthday, though, where I took off work and we went out.
Yeah.
And we went driving down, like, it's Lee Highway, but it's just a road near us. But we went driving, like, basically all the way down through that. Not all the way, but very far down through that, to, like, all these different little small towns and see all this cool stuff.
I don't think it was a birthday. I think it was an anniversary.
It would have been birthday.
No, a different thing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, when
I
we
was like,
went
"When
off
was your
and
birthday?"
stayed in a tiny house.
Oh, yeah, that was
Yeah,
fun.
but that's only a month after my birthday, so
Well, and I
it
looked
gets
too because I
close.
couldn't remember when we got ready to do this if when we went to
The
Tim's
ponies?
Ford.
Oh,
When we went to Tim's Ford, I couldn't remember if that was for your birthday or if it was for anniversary. It was for anniversary because I looked. I
yeah.
was like, when are these pictures
It's
from?
springtime, so sometimes things get a little confusing.
Yeah. Which reminds me, like one of the most fun birthdays was that like we went on vacation during my birthday once.
Mhm.
When we went to
And then we went on
Pennsylvania.
vacation during my birthday to Florida one year.
We did do that, didn't
Yeah,
we?
that was fun.
That was like the earliest I've ever been in Florida. That's when we went to Reddington Beach, I guess. It had to have been.
I don't remember, but we went to Busch Gardens.
It was with
There's that
mom and
one.
dad.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's Reddington Beach, like
And
Tampa area.
yeah, and I got a beautiful green purse from your mom and it broke
It broke immediately.
immediately. We were devastated.
That was funny.
And that was a nice brand purse. Like, it was, I mean, we got it. She got it at like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, or whatever. So, I mean, she didn't spend crazy amounts of money, but I mean, it was a good purse.
Yeah.
And it broke. Just boop.
Boop.
It was so sad. It was beautiful. I'm still pouting over it years later.
Apparently, we all know now. The Pennsylvania one was a lot of fun though, and like
Yeah.
going to Gettysburg
Mhm.
on my birthday. I think is when we actually went to Gettysburg,
Mm.
which kind of feels weird because like I'm not like a big person into that stuff,
Yeah.
but I was like, this was at least something that I want to do probably more than everybody else. So
Yeah.
I'll pick this for my birthday, just to save us from it. But the best thing about going up north is that they have these gas stations with these like restaurants in them that are great, and so like you can go to Sheets or what was the other one? Rutgers.
Rutgers.
But anyways, you walk in there, they just have a screen, and you can order food, and then they
Mhm.
make a lot of it fresh in front of you.
Yeah.
And you can go order French fries, and they're the best French fries
Yeah.
ever.
They're great French fries. And they're
One's better
seasoned
than the
ones.
other, and I can't remember which was which, so you'd have to try them both again if we ever end up back up there. But it was like,
Mhm.
this is fun.
That was probably one of our most favorite trips ever that we've done, is going to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And like our son loved it because of all the things that we got to do that was his interest. We saw the horse and buggies, we saw all the train stuff, we ate in the train.
And it was one of those things, too, where it was like, people were like, why are you here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, first of all, as far as I can tell, this is a tourist area. Like, it
Mhm.
wasn't like going to Gatlinburg,
Yeah.
but it was definitely like a tourist place. Like, people
Mhm.
come here to visit. Who's coming here then?
Yeah.
Like, why is it like, why would you come here? Well, I've been to the beach a
Mhm.
lot.
I've been to the beach. I live in the mountains. Like, I wanted something new.
I've not been to Amish farmland. You know, like, this is completely different than what I'm used to.
Mhm. And it's very historic. Like, we don't have a ton of things that are very old.
And if we do, they're in, like, old cabins that
Yeah.
aren't very nice.
Old shacks.
But then you go up there, and, like, the house we stayed in was pretty nice.
Yeah.
It wasn't, like, anything crazy fancy, but it
Mhm.
was from, what, like, the 1500s or something?
Something crazy.
It was
I don't
something
know.
like that, and it was like, wow, this is crazy that we're staying in a house. And, like, you could tell it was old because a lot of, like, stuff was small.
They had a retrograded kitchen and bathrooms in there.
The bathrooms was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a whole crazy trip in general.
Mhm.
But that was a cool place. Like, I would
Yeah.
go back to Pennsylvania.
1000%.
But this time we have to go to
1000%.
Hershey.
Yeah. This
Because we didn't
time
do that last time.
we'd have to make sure to get that in, and we might cuz that was a little north of us.
Yeah.
So maybe stay somewhere a little more northern, but I really enjoyed that place. Like,
Yeah, but you can't take the dog.
yeah, can't take the dog, and don't want to sleep on those beds again.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of that trip. Honestly, as funny as it is, but it was like a serious Goldilocks situation. And it didn't start that way, but there was 3 adult bedrooms.
Yeah.
And then obviously like we had our child, and he was like
Mhm.
2 at the time. He's about to be 2.
Yeah.
And so like we had him in the pack and play, and we were putting it in a room that we thought would be good for him.
Because it was dark, it was quiet.
And so then I just went and I was like, well, I'll just lay down on this bed real fast, or I'll sit on it. So I sat on the bed that was supposed to be the bed we were going to sleep in. And I'm pretty sure it was just a rock carved in the shape of a bed, because I sat on it and it didn't move. And then I laid down and I was like, there is no way we can do this. And so I went and told you, and I was like, I hope one of these other beds would work. And
Yeah.
there was 1 out of 3 beds that was like, okay, this is something we can actually sleep
Yeah,
on.
this will suffice, because it still wasn't comfortable.
No, it wasn't great. And then like the little dolls, like I don't think doesn't freak me out until you're in like a strange place
Yeah.
and there's these
These
dolls.
antique dolls.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
No. But Again, it
So
was
yeah,
still a favorite trip.
maybe we should stay somewhere else next time though. The best
I
part about
love
that
the
house,
garden in the back.
the garden was nice in the back, but the best part about the whole house was that it was on downtown
And the
Strasbourg.
pizza place was right there.
Exactly. So there's like a pizza place right here. There's an ice cream shop across the street,
Mm-hmm.
and there's constantly horses and buggies going by from Amish people.
Even at 2 a.m, you hear clumpity, clumpity, clump.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like it was just the most bizarre thing.
Like,
and then
wow,
I was able,
these Amish.
and then you had like the sidewalk. You can go walk wherever you want to. I was able to go cycling while we were up there. Like it was just a whole like perfect setting.
Yeah.
To be able to do a trip like that.
Mm-hmm. It was fantastic.
Oh, and Shady Maple Smorgasbord.
Yeah.
The world's largest buffet. With the most eccentric and large gift shop in the basement that I've ever been in.
Like, the buffet, yeah. I mean, we've got buffets here, and that one was bigger, but, it was all food, and it was, like, repeats because they had, like,
That's how they get you on that. Like, it was, like, half and half. So, like, they had the world's largest buffet, but then as you walk down it, it just started over again. So there was 2 sides.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still really good food.
Yeah.
I think we had prime ribs the night that we went.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And they had good stuff on the thing.
Yeah, but the gift shop, that was an adventure.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reason to go there.
The gift shop and then the shoe fly pie, which became a big thing for me the whole time we were there. It's like, this is great. This is my kind of pie. It's not really sweet, you know?
But it's a little sweet.
It was just right.
It's great for breakfast.
But I'm looking forward to the trip this year, even though it's not really well, it's around my dad's birthday.
Yeah.
It would be after my dad's birthday.
We
the
have
day
something every
Is it the day after his birthday?
month. Yeah, it's the day after. Because his is the 17th, and we leave on the 18th.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is think about, like, the best theme present for the trip.
Mm-hmm.
And we won't see him on the 17th, obviously, because... And so...
We're going to wake up in the wee hours of the morning, so we ain't going nowhere.
And so we'll get something and just take it down there and then give it to him while we're in Florida. But it has to have to do with while we're in Florida. We could get a saltwater mystery tackle box.
I was going to say that. Listen, those are his favorite presents. Like, let's be for real.
Yeah.
He loves those, and that's therefore a regular gift we give. Because it just works out well, and that would be a great one for him because you do plan on fishing a ton. Like,
we're going to have a boat.
Me and your mom may not, we're probably not going to fish as much.
You're not going to fish as much, but you're probably going to be on the boat more than you think because the sandbar and being able to find shells and stuff. Like, I read some more of the reviews that other people had posted about the place we're staying, and that was a big part of it. So
yeah, I think that'll help get your mom on the boat some, and then it'll also help because she knows she's not going to be stuck on there all day long because we take the kid out there, and I'm like, all right, this is my limit. Take us back.
Yeah. It's going to be a good time, and I'm looking extremely forward to it. I really, maybe next time we'll think before we start these episodes and talk first, because I really was hoping you'd have, like, good birthday stuff.
Oh, no.
You were like, nope.
Nope.
Like, oh, wow, I really opened the wrong door here.
Okay. I love my family, so if any one of them do watch this, I love you guys. You did the best you could with everything you could and whatnot, but we just didn't have a lot, so we didn't do a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, we did what we could with what we had, but we went to Skate Town and had cake.
But I mean, like, I grew up similar to that early on. Like, we didn't have a lot. And, like, I remember people talking about, like, renting these places out for birthdays, and it was like, there's no way my parents are going to do something like that. So, like, I remember having the skating ring once. But again, you didn't rent it out.
Yeah, you just went.
You just went. Like, you still had to make
you
some
had
kind
a
of
table.
you made some kind of deal with them still. Like, you had to pay them something for that, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, next time we'll talk and we'll try to find a subject that you can hop into a little bit happier. I just thought, since your birthday is coming up, that this is going to be the great way to talk about it.
Listen, my birthdays have only got better through the year.
Wait, your birthday is next Tuesday?
Yeah. It's a week away.
What's funny is that the next time we record the podcast will be on your birthday.
I know.
Unless we try to do it early, but that probably won't happen.
Yeah, because things are just too busy.
Well, it's either we record on Saturday,
but then we're
doing stuff Saturday.
Or we do it on Sunday afternoon, but then I really enjoy my nap.
And that's when I record the other podcast, most part. So.
So we don't really have a lot of options.
Yeah.
And, like, we could do it on the Monday, but, like, you normally do editing and stuff like that on Monday, so.
Yeah, so we'll probably just end up recording on your birthday, but it's not like we're going to do much anyways.
Yeah, not on my birthday.
Yeah. During the week birthdays. My birthday's on a Friday this year.
Ooh.
I'm pretty excited about that, but I'll probably end up working.
I mean, you'll be at work that day, but. we'll have the evening.
That's what I mean, though, is I probably end up just going to work still.
And
I always
then
not want to have to go to work on my birthday, but
we'll see your parents. So
maybe.
you're just gonna call it on that one day. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, it's my birthday,
My day.
and I choose to not go to your house.
Like, Mom, thanks for giving birth to me, but I'm not gonna see you.
Deuces. I'm just kidding. I definitely won't do that. Anyways, I think it's going to do it for this episode of the podcast today.
Yeah.
I thank you guys for joining us. I hope we gave you some laughs and some
Mhm.
encouragement to maybe, get out there and give your kids better birthdays. So that way when they have a podcast 20 years from now, they'll have something to talk about.
Listen, we're setting our kids up great thus far.
Yeah.
Like, he's had fantastic birthdays through the pandemic and all.
Yeah.
So,
We've done the best with what we could.
and there's lots of pictures to document.
You'll be able to
So-
look back on those birthdays they don't remember.
I'm like, oh, hey, Mom and Dad were fun.
Hey, they did do stuff. That's so great. I wish I could remember it.
Anyways, guys, please check back in on Monday. But before then, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all those good things. Be sure to check out the vlog channel as we talked about earlier because we're trying to put out one video a week all year this year. And so far, we've actually been able to do it. And this is the 11th week of the year.
So, I mean,
And this is the 30th episode of the podcast.
woo!
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
Yeah. It's felt like I've done a long time of doing these podcasts.
It's been a long time.
We're only 22 away from a whole year of podcasts.
Dun, dun, dun. Anyways, again, have a great weekend. We'll catch you guys next time. God bless.
God bless.